So in this video, we're going to talk about how to divide polynomials using long division. So remember long division that you did back when you were dividing numbers. So remember that the number that goes under the division sign is the dividend, and the number that goes on the outside is called the divisor. So remember, you start off by looking at the first digit of the dividend, and if it's, you can, divide it by the divisor. Well, if that doesn't work, remember you have to add on the second digit like we did in this problem. So we look at 15 divided by 6, which gives us 2. So what we do then is take that 2 and multiply it by 6 and subtract that from 15. So we have 15 minus 12, which gives us 3. Now we bring down the next digit in the dividend, so we have 37, and we do 37 divided by 6, which is 6. 6 times 6 is 36, so we do 37 minus 36, which gives us 1. So now we have no digits left in the dividend to bring down, so that 1 is going to become our remainder. So we're going to use a very similar process to divide polynomials. So we're going to put the dividend under the division sign and the divisor on the outside. When we're dividing, we're going to look at the first term of each polynomial. So we're going to do x squared divided by x. So that's going to give us x, which is the first term in our quotient. And then we do x times x minus 5. So here, let me write this out. If we do x times x minus 5, that's going to give us x squared minus 5x, which is what I've written here. Now we need to subtract this x squared minus 5x. And remember, when we subtract polynomials, it's like switching to the opposite sign and then adding the terms together. So I'm going to switch the signs here. So I'm going to make this a plus. And so x squared minus x squared is just 0. And then 3x plus 5x gives us this 8x. Now we bring down this minus 40. So we look once again at the first term. So we do 8x divided by x, which gives us plus 8. And then we have to do 8 times x minus 5. And when we distribute that 8, that's going to give us 8x minus 40. So now we're going to write that 8x minus 40 here, and then we're going to subtract that. So remember, that's going to involve switching all the signs. So I'm going to switch this to a minus 8x, and this is going to become a plus 40. When I combine these terms, I get 0, so that's why I have a remainder of 0 in this problem. So here are the steps we're going to do. So we're going to set up the problem, put the dividend under the division sign and the divisor on the outside. Remember, it's also important to rewrite polynomials so that both the dividend and divisor are in standard form. We're also going to make sure to add in a 0 if we're skipping a term of any degree. So then we'll divide the leading term of each, and then write this as the first term of the quotient, multiply this by the divisor, and then subtract. Okay, and then we bring down the next term, and then we repeat the steps, right? Divide, multiply, subtract, until there's no terms left in the dividend. If the final subtraction does not result in 0, whatever we have left, that expression is going to become our remainder. So let's look at some examples. Let's start off with this problem. So I'm going to put the x squared plus 7x minus 30 under the division sign, and then my x minus 3 goes on the outside. So the first thing I do is I take x squared and divide it by x. That's going to give me x. And now I need to take that x and then multiply by x minus 3. So you don't have to write out this step, but I just do it as scratch work because it helps me keep track, especially when we're working with polynomials. So that's going to give me x squared minus 3x, which is what I'm going to write here. And then remember, now I need to subtract. Okay, so when I subtract, I just go ahead and change these to opposite signs. So I'm going to get x squared minus x squared, which is 0, 7x plus 3x, which is 10x. Okay, so I'm going to now bring down this minus 30. Okay, so now I do 10x divided by x. Well, 10x divided by x is going to be plus 10. So I'm going to take that 10 now and multiply that by x minus 3. So when I distribute that 10, that gives me 10x minus 30. So I'm going to write 10x minus 30 down here, and I am going to subtract this from what I have. So that's going to become a minus 10x, and this is going to become a plus 30. And when I combine these, I just end up with 0. So I have a remainder of 0 in this problem. So now you can go ahead and pause the video and try doing this example. So here we have x squared minus 13x plus 12 divided by x minus 1. So remember, to start off, we do x squared divided by x, which gives us x. And then we do x times x minus 1, which gives us x squared minus 1x. When I subtracted, I went ahead and switched those signs. So negative 13x plus 1x gave me negative 12x, and then I brought down the plus 12. Negative 12x divided by x is minus 12. Minus 12 times x minus 1 gives me minus 12x plus 12. And then remember, when I subtract, I go ahead and switch those signs. So this is going to become plus 12x. So minus 12x plus 12x is 0. And then plus 12 minus 12 is going to be also 0. So the quotient is just x minus 12, and I have no remainder in this problem. So here we have a little bit longer polynomial divided by x minus 4. So what we're always going to do is make sure that everything's in standard form and that we have no skipped terms. So I don't see either of those in this problem, so I'm going to go ahead and write out my division. So I have x cubed minus 6x squared plus 10x minus 8, and that's going to be divided by x minus 4. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is divide those leading terms. So x cubed divided by x. If you need to do scratch work to see this, you can, feel free to go ahead and do so. So it's x cubed divided by x, which is like x to the 1. So remember, when I'm dividing, I subtract those exponents. So this is going to be x squared. So now I'm going to do x squared times the divisor, which is x minus 4. So I'm going to distribute that to both terms. X squared times x is going to be x cubed minus x squared times 4, which is 4x squared. So we have x cubed minus 4x squared, and then we go ahead and subtract. So when I do that, this is going to become a plus sign. So x cubed minus x cubed is just 0. Negative 6x squared plus 4x squared is going to be negative 2x squared. So now I'm going to bring down this plus 10x. Okay, so let's look at the leading terms once again. So I need to do now negative 2x squared divided by x. So that's just going to give me minus 2x. So now I'm going to do minus 2x times x minus 4. Okay, once again, I'm going to distribute. So that's going to give me negative 2x squared plus 8x. And I'm going to go ahead and write that here. And I'm also going to subtract this from the terms that I have. So when I subtract, remember, I'm going to go ahead and switch my signs. So this is going to become a plus 2x squared, and this is going to become a minus 8x. So negative 2x squared plus 2x squared is going to be 0. 10x minus 8x is going to give me 2x. So that 2x, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring down this minus 8, which is the only term I have left. So I need to now do the leading term, which is 2x, and then divide that by x, which is just going to give me plus 2. So that 2 now I'm going to multiply by the divisor, which is x minus 4. So I go ahead and distribute, which gives me 2x minus 8. So I have 2x minus 8 here. And then I'm going to go ahead and subtract, which remember involves switching the signs. So when I do that, 2x minus 2x is 0. Negative 8 plus 8 is also 0. So my quotient is x squared minus 2x plus 2. So now you can go ahead and pause the video and try doing this example on your own. So in this problem, we do x cubed over x, which gives us x squared. And then we do x squared times x minus 2. So we get x cubed minus 2x squared. Then we subtract those, and so x cubed minus x cubed is 0. 4x squared plus 2x squared is 6x squared. Now we bring down the minus 7x. We do 6x squared divided by x, which is plus 6x. And then we do 6x times x minus 2. So when we do 6x times x minus 2, that gives us 6x squared minus 12x. So now when I subtract those, I'm going to switch the signs. So 6x squared minus 6x squared is 0. Negative 7x plus 12x is going to be 5x. Now we bring down the minus 10. 5x divided by x is plus 5. And then we do 5 times x minus 2, so we get 5x minus 10. And then when we subtract those, we switch the signs. So 5x minus 5x is 0. Negative 10 plus 10 is also 0. So the quotient is x squared plus 6x plus 5. So now let's try this example. So notice in the first polynomial, it is in standard form, but we have a skipped term. We don't have a square term, so I'm going to go ahead and add that in as a 0. And then we have plus 2x plus 1. And so that's divided by x squared plus x plus 2. So let's go ahead now and write out our division. So we have x squared plus x plus 2. And then under the division sign, we have 4x to the fourth plus 3x cubed plus 0x squared plus 2x plus 1. Okay, so now we can take the first term, that 4x to the fourth, and divide it by x squared. So when we do that, we have 4 and then x to the fourth over x squared, which is x squared. So it's going to be 4x squared, and then we do 4x squared times x squared plus x plus 2. So we're going to distribute that, and that gives us 4x to the fourth plus 4x cubed plus 8x squared. So 4x to the fourth plus 4x cubed plus 8x squared. Okay, so let's go ahead now and subtract this. So this is going to become minus, this is going to become minus. So 4x to the fourth minus 4x to the fourth is 0. 3x cubed minus 4x cubed is negative 1x cubed. 0x squared minus 8x squared is going to become minus 8x squared. Okay, so now we do negative 1x cubed over x squared. And so that's going to give us negative 1x. So the next term is going to be minus 1x, and then we do minus 1x times x squared plus x plus 2. So we're going to distribute, and that's going to give us negative 1x cubed minus 1x squared minus 2x. So we have minus 1x cubed minus 1x squared minus 2x. And remember here we need to bring down that plus 2x. So let's go ahead now and subtract, which means we're going to switch all of these signs. So when I do that, negative 1x cubed plus 1x cubed is 0. Negative 8x squared plus 1x squared is 7x squared. Plus 2x is going to give me plus 4x. So now let's bring down this plus 1. So we have that right here. So now we do negative 7x squared divided by x squared. So that's going to be negative 7. So we write negative 7 up here. And then we're going to take that negative 7 and multiply by x squared plus x plus 2. So negative 7 times x squared is going to be negative 7x squared. Negative 7 times x is going to be minus 7x. And negative 7 times 2 is going to be minus 14. So now let's go ahead and subtract, which is going to involve switching all of these signs. So when I switch all of these signs, negative 7x squared plus 7x squared is 0. 4x plus 7x is 11x. And then 1 plus 14 is 15. So this is going to be a remainder of 11x plus 15. So remember, we can also write this out as 4x squared minus x minus 7. And then write plus 11x plus 15 over the divisor, x squared plus x plus 2. Okay, so that is going to be our answer. So now you can go ahead and pause the video and try doing this example on your own. So in this example, once again, you can see that it skips the x squared term, so I went ahead and added in that 0. So x to the fourth over x squared is x squared, and then I multiply that x squared by this divisor. When I subtract, I switch all the signs, which gives me negative 3x cubed minus 4x squared. Then I brought down that minus 8x. Negative 3x cubed over x squared is minus 3x. And then I do minus 3x times the divisor, which then I subtract. And then it gives me 2x squared plus 4x. Then I brought down the plus 8. And then I did 2x squared divided by x squared, which is plus 2. 2 times the divisor gives me this polynomial here, which I then subtracted. And I have a remainder of 0. So x squared minus 3x plus 2 is my quotient. So remember, you can divide polynomials using long division, similar to what we did when we were dividing numbers. Make sure that both polynomials being divided are written in standard form with zeros being included for any skipped terms.